Welcome. The East Bay Regional Park District is glad you are able to join us today for this Wildfire Protection Roundtable discussion. I am East Bay Regional Park District Board Member Colin Coffey, and I represent Park District Ward number 7. The discussion to follow features community leaders that I have the pleasure of working with to support East Contra Costa, including Contra Costa County District 3 Supervisor Diane Burgis, East Contra Costa Fire Protection District Chief Brian Helmick, and your Park District's Fire Chief, Aileen, Theile. The Park District and I would like to thank all of the firefighters and staff of our Park District and the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District for all their hard work to keep the parks open and our trails safe. Also, I've been asked to remind those using our parks and trails to continue to keep them safe for park employees and park visitors by following the County Health Department and Park District COVID-19 safety rules. While at the parks, please keep the 6-foot distance between yourself and others. Wear face masks or coverings. Leave no trace behind. Pack out what you pack in. Bring hand sanitizer in case restrooms are out of the supply. And bring water for yourselves and your dogs. Water fountains are currently turned off to prevent the spread of the virus. And know before you go, visit ebparks.org. Where all the current information on the state of the parks and the trails during this pandemic can be reviewed. So Supervisor Burgis, what do you think about the role of special districts?
They are absolutely essential. And I'm glad you're asking this question because I don't think people really understand all of the different structures of government. When you talk about special districts, what does that mean? And so that can be anything from an irrigation district, park district, or a sanitary district, or a fire district. And in particularly in the area that I represent, we have a fire district that is a special district. And all of those services are essential. That's why those special government agencies are there.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to add into that. I absolutely agree. Special districts are essential. And I do also agree that the governance is always challenging. And special districts, by statute, they are the ones responsible to not only get adequate funding, to be able to provide specific services to the degree where the cities of Brentwood and Oakley do not have the legal responsibility to provide the services that we do. And so it is important for citizens, businesses, and elects to understand how essential special districts are, how our laws and statutes are built, and really how we're funded.
I would agree. I believe that there's one more piece to that too, and that is that while cities and counties provide the health and welfare and safety through a lot of those different services, the one thing that a special district does is also meets the desire or the demands of the community that it serves. We see that here at the Park District in the fact that we've had an increase in visitation to all of our parks throughout this pandemic, proving in my mind that all these services are very essential.
How are you preparing for the most dangerous part of our fire season?
Well, I'll jump right into that. Really when it comes down to educating not only my family, my friends, and as we also work with the communities, it's really based in education and informing them. I think that a lot of folks, because we're so busy, we're such a busy society, that I think it's very easy to be distracted of some of the realities that we're going into. And seasons change, and when emergencies happen, they happen fast. So we at the district, at East Contra Costa Fire, we have a very dynamic website that's very prevention oriented. Really it is, again, education, information, and providing people resources.
I agree with that too. With my own family, I think that as Chief Helmick mentioned, education is really important. I believe that we should all start as parents, as fire professionals, starting with children pretty young. For the older folks in my family, make sure that they're connected, whether it be Nexel or AC Alert, that they pay attention to weather. Simple things like watching the weather in the morning, find out if it's a red flag day. If it is a red flag day, maybe you shouldn't leave home or go far from home. So it's really starting the conversation early, both early in the season and early in somebody's life, to get them really aware of what fire season and living in California means.
As a county supervisor, it's really important that my constituents are prepared for wildfire season as we go. I think it's really important to really consider, some people live in more vulnerable areas, but we just saw a couple weeks ago where we had to do a evacuation in an area that was not rural. So I'd like people to think about being prepared. And during these times of COVID, you also need to kind of think about other things, like being able to physically distance, be able to do extra sanitation, make sure you have extra masks. And with the power shutoffs that, we've had experiences with, you need to be prepared by making sure you have gas in your car, that your phones are charged, being mindful of things that you need to do to be prepared for anything.
Chief Theile, then what extra steps are your firefighters, your department taking, especially during the pandemic?
Well, first of all, we made sure early on in the pandemic that we kind of locked our stations down, because we need to have a force that's available and well enough to go and fight these fires. Secondly, the Park District does fuels management 365 days a year. So we do as much as we can on a daily basis to mitigate fuel loads in an effort to keep fires manageable should they happen on our parklands.
During the COVID pandemic, we have been very aggressive since the early onsets. And it has made all aspects of what we do in regards to fire, rescue, and medical aids a lot more challenging. Some folks maybe don't know, but we also provide prevention services. So we do investigations, we do inspections, we do plan review through the permitting processes. Everything is all about providing a safe service. And obviously, when it comes down to the way we work with Contra Costa County Fire, they're a regional dispatch center. And we've had a very strong labor management relationship with Local 1230, that's the local that represents our firefighters, to really think about the best way we can create a safe environment for our members. It is driven through policy. It is all about decon, and it is all about being proactive. So when we respond to calls, it adds additional layering of protective equipment. When we arrive back to station, we decon our equipment, we decon our engines. We're very guarded about what goes into our stations, and we're also very guarded about what goes home with our members too. It's detrimental in so many ways, but I will tell you, there are positive things that the fire district is getting better at in regards to decon and taking care of our members and making processes safe. And we're also becoming more efficient and being innovative on how we're working with each other, how I'm reaching out with the community, how we're doing this forum here right now. COVID has made a very difficult and complex job even more complex.
What else can we as the public or as communities do to prepare for wildfire season?
That is a great question. And let me start off by saying that it is very important that all community members be proactive, preventative versus reactive. And that is something you have to put time and energy into. And I hope people really take this message to heart. There's a very simple, what they call ready, set, go method and campaign. They're really trying to educate people to do. And when they're talking about getting ready, it's about getting your property ready, making sure you have good defensible space, 100-foot clearance around your homes. Is your house what they call hardened? Can sparks not get up into your home? Is it protected? And that's something that you have to do in advance. And a lot of homes that we just cannot get into and protect, it's because they weren't ready. Secondarily is when they say to get set, you need to have a plan. Where are you going to go? What are you going to collect? Do you have a kit in place? In your car and in your home, you can grab and go to be able to get through the short amount of time. And the last part about going is, are you plugged into the community activations, the warning systems? Do you know how to get information ready? And when you get that information, you need to go.
Everybody needs to remember when they're worried about leaving their homes. I understand that leaving your homes in the face of a natural emergency like this is somewhat terrifying. But firefighters are here to come in and do the job of protecting neighborhoods and protecting you once a fire happens. And the priorities are life, property, and environment. If you don't go when you're told to go, that means we can't get in there and fight the fire because our first responsibility is to your life. Make sure all of that stuff is ready to go prior.
Now more than ever, special districts, especially those providing fire services, need increased state and federal funding. Chief Helmick, you are working with limited resources during the pandemic. We know that. What extra resources are needed for the safety precautions, the fire prevention that is really needed?
That's a great question, and I thank you for actually asking it. So again, the East Contra Costa Fire District, our geography is huge, 250 square miles. We run 7,700 calls per year. We serve 128,000 residents that swell to 155 when you include the employees that come into our jurisdiction. We have 9 firefighters on a day out of 3 stations. We have decades of studies that show that we have half of the staffing that we need. We need at least an additional 3 stations today, 18 firefighters on duty, no less than that. All of the studies show it. We have a tremendous revenue challenge. So we need people to be informed, we need people to be educated, and people need to know everything that we're doing, and we need them to participate in the conversation because it'll take all of us to find a solution to our very complex and historical challenges.
So as we wind down toward the conclusion of this roundtable discussion we're having, I want to ask, is there anyone you want to acknowledge at this point?
Thank you for the opportunity. I think I would really like to acknowledge not any one person, but really all of the people that make up the East Bay Regional Park District as an agency. I appreciate the way that they rose to this occasion to serve the community. I appreciate how they rose to the occasion of the pandemic and took care of their people. I appreciate the leadership that they've shown. So shout out to East Bay Regional Park District.
Yeah, thank you also for the opportunity. I think that my thank yous start with you for letting me be here today to be able to share not only the district's story, but it's also important to note that I'm not here alone. I'm representing not only the fire board, all of our members, and their representation, Local 1230, as all of us are diligently working to address the service level challenges of the district. And I also want to very much acknowledge all of our partner agencies, East Bay Regional Parks being one of them operationally, Contra Costa County Fire, and CAL FIRE very specifically because we run auto aid with them, or we have agreements with them, and we run with them daily. And they are also not taken for granted, and all other fire districts in Contra Costa County. And lastly, and almost most importantly, is my members. So all the men and women of East Contra Costa Fire, my staff, we're working tirelessly trying to correct all things. And I lean on them and I demand a lot. And I know that. But also their families, because they sacrifice a lot to let us do what we do. And I'm to my core thankful. Thank you again for the opportunity. It's such a privilege and honor to serve as this chief, and all those people make what we do possible. So thank you.
Then on behalf of Contra Costa County Supervisor, is there anyone you want to acknowledge at this time?
Thank you, Director Coffey. You know, I'd like to acknowledge a lot of people. To the person that's vulnerable, whether it's because they're older or just medically fragile, that's physically distancing and having to bear that, or for the kids that aren't able to go to school, or the young people that haven't been able to go out into the workforce, to the teachers that are working at home, to the folks that are heading out and wearing a mask all day long. I want to acknowledge all those people, and I want to thank you for sticking with it. I want to thank all of our first responders for keeping us safe and staying vigilant. It's really important to talk about wildfires and to raise the awareness and have people thinking about it. And Chief Helmick and Chief Theile, the work that you do is so important, keeping us safe, and all the people that work for you, and all you're doing for our community. And Director Coffey, thank you for making sure that East County, all the way out to Pinole, is represented with the Park District.
Well, thank you, Supervisor. Thank you for spending all this time with us today. It's been very helpful. On behalf of the Park District, I want to thank all of the participants on today's panel. Thank you again to Supervisor Diane Burgis, East Bay Regional Park District Fire Chief Aileen, Theile, and East Contra Costa Fire Protection District Chief Brian Helmick, all of you for joining this Wildfire Protection Roundtable today. Again, I want to make a shout out to all the heroes, the firefighters, and our park staff for all of their hard work to keep parks safe. And thank you to all the frontline staff of both these districts and Contra Costa County that are working so hard to keep things safe for all of us. Thank you again, and take care, and please be safe.